So we watched some new thing I've never heard of called Star Trek. What is it called?
Star Trek?
Yeah.
Never heard of that, huh?
Strange New Worlds. Captain Christopher Pike comes out of self-imposed exile to rescue an officer gone missing during a secret mission. And actually, I think we had this conversation before, and it turned out we were both right. Because you were saying Strange New Worlds takes place a decade before the original series,
Right.
but it also is part of Discovery. Because
how does it work into Discovery?
so I was looking at Collider.com, how to watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Well,
if you want to know where my source is.
The first season.
Well, here's what
Discovery.
Collider says. Strange New Worlds takes place a decade before the events of original series. This version of Captain Pike should be familiar with Star Trek fans. The same version of the character as Star Trek Discovery.
Right.
Now that the crew of the USS Discovery has jumped into the future, this spin-off picks up where that show Season 2 left off, before the time jump, and continues the timeline forward to the original, where the original series begins.
But
Woo!
but it would have been slightly before that. It would have been slightly before Discovery.
Well, that's the thing about Star Trek, is that they can pretty much do anything they want with the timeline, and maybe different parallel universes and all that stuff. But
they can do whatever. They can do whatever.
But we had this conversation,
yeah,
and it turned out we were both right.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I was like, what happened there? I think, well, first of all, I do want to say, I wanted to kick it off with the production design, because I want to say that the sets are beautiful, but I think since it was before the original series, I think they should have done some shag carpeting and some cardboard, like, consoles and stuff.
I thought about that.
I was distracted by how fancy it was.
The thing is you have a lot of kind of like world building splits between one thing and another. A lot of that going on here, because I mean, I can't remember. I just watched the whole series, and they do have like the very classic phasers, right?
Yeah.
The communicators are kind of the classics, kind of a takeoff on that class.
They look more like a cell phone.
They did look more like cell phones. Yeah, flip phone.
I guess for me, I was distracted by how advanced it looked, I guess, compared to the original series.
Yeah.
I'm like, they should have called the guys that made, Dave Made a Maze.
Well, what's kind of great is you could see that they took a lot of the hollow stuff out of the holodeck and kind of used it. I mean, like the flames that are his fireplace that's in his quarters, right? He's got his own fireplace in the quarters, and so that's obviously a little piece of holodeck there,
right?
Yeah. But I so like the design. I've never liked the design of Discovery.
Oh, it was pretty. It was like, I like the red. The red was really awesome. Yeah, red's a great color.
From what? From
on this Strange New Worlds, the red and white. Yeah,
I love Strange New Worlds. Discovery, I
haven't really seen Discovery. I think I watched part of the first episode, and I said I need to go back to this because I was doing something else. I didn't have time to watch it.
It's got this glinty, like absolute. There's, I mean, because it's all optical. So, but there's a kick off of absolutely everything, right?
Yeah.
Until it's just like kind of this like just striations of like color, right?
Well, I was like, I'd hate to be the person who has to clean that.
Oh yeah. Oh god. Yeah. It's like they actually have a ship behind them, it's a cleaning ship. Yeah. Yeah. It's to follow them from.
Are they Ferengis?
Yeah. Exactly. But I think that they got the sets right. I love the cast of this so much.
I did too.
Doctor, I love Nurse Chapel. Lieutenant Uhura, the whole.
I was distracted by Ortega a little bit. Her hairstyle was kind of annoying me. Like, and her big. Yeah. She always had these big
Yeah.
She always kind of distracted me. I mean, not that she wasn't bad. She just when they showed her, I was looking more at her hairstyle and her eyes than I was listening to what she was saying.
Yeah. I think the Gregory Peck's grandson is excellent as Spock.
Oh, is that Gregor Peck's grandson? I didn't catch that. Wow, that's cool. Well, he had to. It took me a while to kind of get into him, like as Spock. I was like,
and now but now
it's because of Leonard Nimoy. I've only seen that really. So
well, the thing is, I saw him in Discovery.
Okay.
He first came out in Discovery. I saw him, and I like the girl, the captain in Discovery. Sometimes she's captain,
she's awesome.
Sometimes she's not. She's awesome. But
she's
that
awesome.
Her brother is Spock.
Ah, well, so Rebecca Romaine, what happened to her? Because I mean, is that.
But she's gotten old. What do you mean?
I'm saying okay, I think she would have aged more gracefully if she would have laid off the plastic surgery, because it looks like she might have tried to do some work. And I think women can age gracefully.
I like her better now than I did.
But I think she's one of those women that could have aged gracefully if she would have just left it alone. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, that's not up to you, buddy.
I mean, if you got a little saggy, so what?
Still not up to you.
If you have a waddle, it's something to play with. Think about it. Anyway. No, but I thought she was good, but I just thought that was kind of out of all of them, I think her character was kind of weak compared to Uhura, for example.
And it's true. She is not the strongest character, but it's a very hard position to play, you know?
Or you're playing number one, so you're like second to Pike. Who has a lot of charisma in his hair.
Right, and Pike is so absolutely right on. I mean, the weird thing about the character that's playing Pike is he looks so much like the original Pike.
Anson Mount, yes. That's who played that.
He looks so much like the original Pike from the original Pike.
Yeah.
But let me just go over. I have the sense of this film, the sense of this series is so good. It is sort of like they took the original series and just kind of spent money on it, right?
Well, they took it's like back to basics for me. It's like they go back to the original series, they have a little Next Generation in there a little bit, and then
a little bit, but not enough to make it wimpy.
No, not corny. Like, I think Next Generation's kind of corny.
Yeah.
But I still like it.
It got a little bit, morally heavy-handed is what.
But it's a lot better than Voyager, or I wasn't a Voyager fan.
But this is like they went back and took the original series and fixed it and made this.
They glammed it up and made the stories a little bit better.
Right.
I've only seen the first 3 episodes, but I'm in. I think I'm in to watch the rest of it now.
Well,
so.
I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely. And you know what? The funny thing about it is the weakest one was the first one. The first episode was the weakest.
But I think the third one was good. Yeah. I mean, so I ended on a high note. I'm like, I got to watch more of this.
Well, the second and the third were excellent. I mean, that the first one, I got to tell you, the first one I was a little bit too much of the bad optical space battle shit. It had a little bit of what I call RRR factor, a little hyperbole there.
Is that our new thing to measure?
Yeah, to measure. That's
hyperbole. It's like that's our top right there.
Above up. You go up to RRR.
So Wizard of Speed and Time is kind of low now.
Exactly. Well, as well it should be. No, but the cast is great. The stories are great. It is the Star Trek that we have been looking for ages.
And actually, I like the fact that it's really pretty. Like when they went to the comet and they're standing on the comet, and it just looked really cool. Like you didn't get that in the original series, obviously, because they didn't really have the technology back then.
Thing is, if you get into Discovery,
which I need to watch Discovery more because it
goes too far. It
goes too far.
The glint and the look of everything goes too far. It's too. It doesn't even look like it's real.
What about Picard? Have you checked Picard out yet?
I have. I saw the first season. I liked the first season. The second season is I didn't watch just because it was one of the what if shows.
Okay.
And I don't know if I don't give a shit about well, that's the way let's go back and see how things would have gone. You know what? I just barely accept that on It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's the dead. To me, it's the dead zone of It's a Wonderful Life, right?
Okay, yeah.
So I don't need a whole season of that shit.
That's fair, I think. Yeah. Well, I don't know. They did it on other shows, like Roseanne, for example.
Did you see the first?
Didn't they do it on Roseanne? Didn't she die or something? Yeah, I think I remember that. But no, I haven't seen Picard yet.
That was so far beyond. I mean, I think I watched. I think Roseanne was no mixed rule of 2 years. I watched the first 2 seasons and I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, for me, it's the magic. The magic of a show was when the 3rd season's awesome. Like, I thought Breaking Bad season 3 was good, so it kept me in it. Kept me binging. But yeah, no. So Picard, I want to watch that just because of Patrick Stewart. I mean, I definitely like him. So
yeah, and you know what? Honest to God, you're gonna watch it and you're gonna think to yourself, "My God, that guy's getting old."
Yeah. Well, I see the trailers and I'm like, yeah, he looks old and he sounds old.
He's old, but you know what? Here's the thing. The thing is he moves old too, and that's.
He has a walker.
Pretty close. I mean, it's the I think you know what they did is they CG'd it out, but it's still.
I would have just put little rockets on it or something like.
Yeah. It's like it's so old. And here's the thing: is he came back and did the next season. Was done after COVID, so it's like 2.5 years beyond.
Wow.
And he really looked old. And I was like, not prepared to see, Picard with a cane.
Yeah, it's like I've been watching this. I discovered this guy on YouTube named Justin Hawkins. I have no idea who he was, but he's a lead singer of The Darkness, which is this really weird band. But it's a British band. But I'm obsessed with the show because he talks about music. And one of his things he talks about is like aging musicians. And he's talking about like how, Kiss, like for example, he's talking about Kiss, and they were like, like 10 years ago they were still performing pretty well, but you fast forward to 7 years later, and when you're at that age, even 2 years makes a huge difference. It's like,
no, absolutely, no. There is, it clicks on and clicks off pretty quick, and all of a sudden, you're a real. I mean, I don't know if it's actually happened to the Stones.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what I was wondering about. Yeah, like the Stones, I haven't really seen them recently, so I don't really know. But no, I mean, musicians and actors I think are kind of the same. Like you wouldn't have Picard in his little, ripped shirt like he did in Next Generation, for example.
Yeah.
With his deep voice, his baritone voice, that rumbled, and now he's like, "Hey, I'm Picard."
I'm Picard.
But no, I'm curious about that one. But I've heard such bad things about Picard that I haven't really been in a hurry to watch it. So
the first season is well worth it.
Ah, okay.
The second season, it just hook yourself up to a Geritol IV and go for it.
So what's left? Below Decks. Is that one that we should review? Below Decks?
Oh no, it's just terrible.
I don't even know anything about that one.
Honest to God, it's just terrible.
Is it worse than the Orville? I tried to watch Orville.
Orville this season. Orville is the worst.
Well, I tried to watch Orville and I just couldn't get into it. I'm like, it's like I can't.
It just looks so. Yeah. No, Orville's rough right now. Yeah.
Well, we need another man who fell to Earth.
It's all down to this one. It's all down to this one. I give this one 4.5 stars.
I think so far, with 3 episodes, I'm with you, 4.5. But who knows what happens after I watch the whole season?
No, it's a solid all the way through.
But Paramount, man who fell to Earth, make a series, make a good one. I mean, we saw the other one on Amazon, but who did that one? That was who did the show? Showtime. I think we need to find I don't know. I'm done. I mean, I realize there is a series, Man Who Fell to Earth, and I haven't really watched the rest of it. But I think there's a reason I wasn't really inspired to watch the rest of it yet.
Man Who Fell to yeah, he's still being a little bit weird. So.
See, that's another test for TV shows. If you watch a few episodes and you never go back, it probably wasn't that great. But if you're like binging it or wanting, oh, I have to see that, I have to see that, then it's a good series.
Yeah, but here's the the problem is this. Now my wife is watching. My wife has really gotten into science fiction.
Oh,
and
well, good for her.
I mean, she's The Expanse.
Like what kind of new stuff? Not like
no, all the news. Well, we've always watched the old stuff. I mean, I mean, you know, I sort of got. I don't think that there's a '60s film, and I mean all the way back down to the cheapest possible. You know. Where you can see the strings and all the rest of that, yeah, absolutely. I'm absolutely in for that. But the new stuff looks so much, you know, so much like the same thing every time. You know, it's like starting to drag me down.
Even those shows we watched, like we were watching The Outer Banks, for example, or Outer Range, and the other one, Midnight Sky, and there were a lot of simlimilarities, like with how it looked.
Right,
and it was easy to confuse the two.
Yeah.
In fact, I think I did confuse the two.
I mean, there are so many of them out there. It's just, it's a chore. And the funny thing about it is, so much of what we do when we're doing these reviews, I go in and I watch the first 3 and I'm out.
Yeah. Well, I think Black Mirror is responsible for this. I think that got people into the science fiction, so now they're making more.
Is it Black Mirror syndrome?
I don't know. I'm just making it up. Sounds good though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did.
Let's talk about Black Mirror and how it affected sci-fi in the late 2000s or early 2020s.
Cool, reserved FM, NPR tones.
Welcome to NPR. This is Sci-Fi Chat with Sid and Russ. I'm Russ.
We've tried something experimental, and we've been watching science fiction films on overlay.
I feel like you have to
2 audio projectors.
You need to be more breathy. So
I just can't.
The wife and I were sitting in the living room, and she said, "Hey, I'd like to watch some sci-fi." I said, "Oh, okay." I was the Black Mirror, the Black Mirror thing. Oh yes, Black Mirror. We need to watch more sci-fi.
That's exciting.
You remember the sweaty balls on sweaty balls on SNL.
I love sweaty balls.
So I listen to NPR sometimes, and sometimes I think of sweaty balls, like All Things Considered, for example. Like sometimes
I like the way they leaned into their mics like this.
But you hear that on NPR sometimes, like they're way too close, and you can hear their breathing. Like, well, let me tell you about what happened in the Middle East, and you can hear their breathing between.
I was in Alaska. I was filming in Alaska, and there was, and Paula came up. Paula came up and spent a week with me up there before we came back down, and we're staying. We were filming out of the Alyeska ski resort. That was our base, and we're sitting there watching TV. We're watching TV in this little cabin, and there's this guy comes on that we said, well, let's see what public television is like up here, right? And we didn't, because it didn't get that many channels, and so we went to the public TV, and it is literally a guy. It was a pledge break, like I had never seen before. It was like the guy, and he's saying, "I'm the only one in the studio." He had to let everybody go.
The camera's locked down.
The camera's locked down, and there's one light. And through the whole thing, he kept adjusting the light.
Why did you just use a flashlight? That would be more effective.
And he's like, yeah, and I really don't know how to do this. I mean, basically, I'm the guy that answers the phone, and this is how bad these things are. And he was on and on. I swear to God, I think that we ended up pledging some money to an Alaska PBS station, just because the heart-wrenching, this heart-wrenching tale of woe, and the great thing is that he goes, to answer the phone, he had to go off the air to answer the phone.
Wow. Maybe it was all an act.
It could have been.
They hired an actor.
I swear to God, it totally could have been, because I thought to myself, if I were to run a pledge drive, and I would do exactly the same thing. I would just empty studio. Actually, I wouldn't even make it a studio. What I would do is I'd go film in a funky old warehouse, right?
Yeah.
And just set the mic and like,
tattered suit,
one director's chair, and the guy just pleading.
Tell him not to shower for a few days.
And just put a telephone on a stool next to him and have him answering the phone calls coming in. It was so great. It was like nothing I've ever seen.
Oh, $1? Thank you so much for $1.
That's why I don't think that it was made up, because this guy was so bad at it. He was so bad at the things that he was doing. You could believe that, that he was the guy that answered the phone, and everybody else had gone home and literally, set the camera up for him and said, "Here, push this button." And
wow,
it was so funny. Oh God.
Well, my first job, actually, I was doing an internship while I was in my senior year of high school, or in college. My senior year in college, I was doing an internship, and it was at PBS. And we had to do those pledge drives, but they always, at least one of the pledge drives always coincided with finals week.
Right.
So like in between, like during the breaks and stuff, I would be like studying. But I ran camera and stuff. So people would always bring food in. So I got free food and I had time to study. It was awesome.
Yeah, there you go.
But some of those breaks were brutal. I'm like, the local talent here were like, it was in Knoxville, but the local talent weren't really, I wouldn't say they were talent, but they were interesting. They always brought this guy that came with a plaid suit. He's like, "Hey, I'm a radio guy, and I like to say how much I love PBS." But anyway. But I got that job from cold calling, because instead of going through the system at school, I went to all the radio or TV stations with my resume and just said, "Hey, I want to be an intern for you guys." And then the only one that responded was PBS. He came out immediately to the lobby and he's like, "We never had a college intern, but we'd love to have one." Because they usually did a high school program that they were doing. So.
Oh, right. Oh, gotcha.
So he said, "I really love the fact that you were like cold calling."
Why aren't you interning for like PBS? I mean, their shows on PBS are looking for interns all the time.
Well, I've already done the internship, so that's how I got my real job at a news station here. But that was back when I was doing TV.
That's when you were doing TV. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah. There you go.
But yeah, okay. So I'd like to do an internship for like maybe like a guy in Kentucky or somewhere, like nearby, that's a director that might work on stuff.
Maybe King Kong is looking to hire.
Make me a production assistant, just whatever. I'll hang out.
He knows a thing or two about production. He does.
Actually, what's funny, I learned there's really not that much difference between TV production and movie production, except for you might approach it differently, and then you have different words for things. That's really all that's different.
Yeah.
I mean, you call things something else, especially if you're from a different decade. Not to talk about anybody that's on this podcast, but if you're from a different decade, some things you might say might be a little different.
Hey, I'm right here. I can hear you.
I was talking about me. I was born in the 70s.